Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farooq Patafi. Viewers, today we are going to talk about Prime Minister's visit to China. It is a very important visit. Pakistan and China are very close allies. They have been working together for quite some time, and recently, with the advent of China-Pakistan economic corridor, things have started looking up further. Prime Minister is there. He has spent a very busy day there, and we are going to take stock of that as well. There are developments both in China as well as in Pakistan, which are important, not only regarding CPAC or China-Pakistan cooperation, but also regarding Kashmir. We are going to take stock of all these matters in today's program. In order to help us understand these issues, we are joined by Dr. Raja Kesar, an expert on foreign policy, foreign international relations. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is Faisal Fateh, an economist, an expert on economics. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is a representative of the business community. We'll call him an expert on economic matters too. Thank you very much, Taseef Zaman Saab, for being part of the program. Now, Dr. Raja Kesar, I have to start with you. How important is this visit? It is third visit of Prime Minister during this year.
Yeah, indeed, Farooq. This comes at a very crucial time because when Prime Minister had spoken it onto the floor of the UN General Assembly and had made a very emphatic mark through that speech and has categorically, given a very unequivocal stance of Pakistan on Kashmir policy, that Pakistan is not going to backtrack, Pakistan is not going to give up on its stance whatsoever are the circumstances. And at the same time, when the unfolding of the regional politics, they are taking the new shape, because if you see that yesterday India has gotten a hand over this Rafale and all these technological acquisition, and the way India under Modi has gone bonkers, and the way their madness it speaks. And
I like your phrasing. India under Modi has gone bonkers, right?
Yeah, I mean the kind of madness which you see and the kind of myopic Hindu nationalism and its very violent and vitriolic manifestation, which we are.
Prime Minister of Pakistan met the Chinese Prime Minister yesterday, and he met Xi Jinping, the President of China, today.
Yeah.
And President of China is actually going to go to India as well.
Yeah.
So can you connect dots for us?
Yeah. I mean, they are symptomatic of the fact that Prime Minister of Pakistan is taking Chinese leadership into confidence, which is already there. Yeah. But to tell them about the recent unfoldings, about this Kashmir quagmire and the way it is taking place, and the way a very suffocating curfew which now spans over more than 2 months now onwards, and at the same time when Xi Jinping would be taking it up with the Indian leadership, and when because China is now an undeniable reality in the religion. And I remember 6 months ahead I read an article, I am not sure about the media outlet, but it was that Modi had a muscular policy for everyone except China.
Right.
So when it comes to China, India is also aware of its limits, and they too know their own how to take it on with
as we
China.
move forward, we are going to talk about that as well, because Foreign Minister of Pakistan actually spoke, and he said that China and Pakistan have taken each other into confidence since 16th of August, and they have been consulting, and this is also a part of that sit down. So we are going to talk about that as well. But Faisal Fateh, while the Prime Minister is visiting with a high-powered delegation, he is visiting China. At that time, the President of Pakistan has actually promulgated an ordinance creating CPAC Authority. How important do you think that move is, and what exactly is it supposed to cater to?
If you look at this visit, or you look at the 3 visits that Prime Minister has made in the last 13 months, you have to look at with the context, or you can say with the pretext of in 2015 CPAC was announced, and there was a lot of fervor, and everybody got on the bandwagon, and it was termed as the game changer. In 2017, or we can say 2018, that fervor started a bit, dimming down,
Okay.
not dying down, but dimming down. And when this government came into the power, the first issue it has to deal with was balance of payments. And eventually decided that it has to go to IMF. And when they went to the IMF, the whole thing about Chinese loans, and IMF categorically said that the money that IMF is going to inject into Pakistan economy cannot be used to pay back those loans.
Yeah.
And up to some level, those loans were discussed. I think at that time, the overall economic team of this government and overall Pakistani focus was not that much on CPAC.
Okay.
We were more focused on Western, you can say, institutions with
You're
IMF.
not certain that there was a focus on CPAC, or you are certain that there wasn't any?
No, I'm not saying just the focus. I think so. The pace, a bit of the pace of the CPAC, you can say, at least in the media, what we heard from.
Media means imagination, right? So
Yeah, but
it was not at the center of our collective imagination.
Of course.
It doesn't
And-
mean whether our state was as committed or not, right?
No, it's not about
It was
commitment of the
committed.
state, but state was more busy, and which was rightfully so, right? And you can see with Chinese, they previously they were giving you funds even when you came up with the feasibility report of a project, and right now. What is happening is Chinese are not releasing money till you start the project, and Pakistanis didn't have that much money in the last 1 year to start the projects on their own, and then start calling for reimbursements or recalling from that.
You're basing this argument on the budget figures,
It's based on-
economic survey, or this is an assumption again?
Look, most of the CPAC is not very clear. It's
Okay,
not crystal clear. I cannot tell you
I'm glad
that.
that you're focusing on the historical context and
Right.
recent history context, but I wanted to actually talk about authority.
So this is what happened, that now when we want to move towards phase 2 of CPAC.
Okay. We want to move to, or
Of
we have
course.
started phase 2.
Of course, we want to move to phase 2, and we want Chinese money to come in, and we want to start that phase. And one of Chinese, I think, so what they wanted was that it should be dealt through the Prime Minister office. It should be dealt separately. Right now, what is happening is all the projects are with different ministries, and it felt like that the pace of the projects are not going further that fast.
Okay.
And I think so that was one of the
They are
reasons.
with various ministries, or primarily with the Planning Commission?
It was primarily with the Planning Commission, but now they have moved to the various ministries since the Planning Commission was not that effective when this government came into power.
Let me bring in Tausif Zaman Saab. Sir, your take on the creation of this authority. I say it because last time you were in this program, you were complaining about the lack of access to data or opportunities for the local businesses. And the second thing, of course, was complexity of doing business. There were many laws, land procurement, money procurement as well. Now it seems that there is going to be one authority, and it is going to take care of all the matters in that region, especially the special economic zones. Are you happy with this?
It's quite enough. I was in China prior to the Prime Minister's visit. The Prime Minister is doing utmost at his end to give a message that we are serious about moving ahead. He is reiterating time and again that this is how things, I'm doing all what I can.
Right.
The issue is the reason why the authority was required. I still have my doubts that how it would resolve the issue. Because as soon as the Prime Minister Office issues a directive, it takes umpty years of time to get it executed.
Right.
If you talk about the first flagship premier economic zone at Rashakai, which is the signature project so far, it is only, indefinitely, we do not know when it would share the daylight.
Okay, I heard yesterday in my program in Nutu from one of the key sources that it is going to be launched within, at least groundbreaking will take place within months.
That's all right.
So now we have a timeline.
The issue is that typically what we need to look at, in KPK the land was not very expensive.
Right.
you could have a piece of a canal for $500. But as soon as you
Five,
moved
how many dollars?
$500,
Okay.
right? But as soon as you move to Rashakai,
Okay.
the amount for acre reaches to 180,000 US dollars,
Okay. Okay.
right? So I don't know, as a
So,
Pakistani investor,
Okay.
I
So
would
the
still
SEZ should be built in Peshawar?
no, sorry, in KPK,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So for $180,000 for an acre, I would think twice putting my money at Rashakai,
Okay.
right? So they say that it would resolve many of the issues. It's a consolidated one window place where all the
Services are provided and-
SEZ's commitments would be fulfilled.
Okay.
But we have to look at that how many promises were made and how many promises were delivered as far when it comes to the Special Economic Zones Authorities ordinance.
Yeah, but when you're talking about this government, you'll essentially be talking about past 1 year, because before that time, this government was not there. Whosoever made a commitment to you was the previous government.
So the Special SEZ's law, which confirms you that all the necessity electricities and utilities would be at your doorsteps,
Yeah.
did not happen in many of the cases. That is how it is.
Okay.
So once we are breaking another ground.
So you're cautiously optimistic. Are
Yeah.
you telling me that?
Yeah. No, this is the time for special economic zones.
Okay.
We are eagerly working, we are looking forward to find ways to get going these economic zones, because that is where
Is our private sector actually conducting feasibilities as to
Yes.
which industries might be suitable there?
what we are looking at now, we are working at two different scenarios. A high-tech revenue generation activity,
Okay.
like aviation sector in the private sector, aviation industry in the private sector, the automotive support industry, high-tech industry, like in Pakistan, you can, the aeroplane.
When you say support industry, that means you are going to rely on a supply chain.
Supply chain, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you in contact with other companies in other
Definitely.
countries
Yes.
to actually
Yes.
create that supply
Yes.
chain?
Right.
It
In Pakistan,
might be the ideal time for such an initiative, because thanks to the trade war, all the supply chains are scuttled.
Exactly.
So you can work your way into it.
in Pakistan, the cost of making an aeroplane is 1/10 of a global cost.
Okay.
Right. That's made by hand.
So why are we not making it?
That is where we are working on now.
Right.
This is the project we are, these
Right.
kind of projects we are taking it up. On the other note, we are going for agriculture and dairy industry, food processing. That is where
You don't need SCZ for that, do you?
we do, yeah.
Okay.
Because concessions are there.
Yeah, agricultural
Agri-
industry is lesser.
Pakistan is such a sweet country. We don't have a fridge in our system. We don't have overhead tank in our system.
Okay.
So whatever we have, we waste thoroughly.
Okay.
So you cannot.
We have to work on preservation as well.
Exactly.
Right?
So that is
And
where
quality
we need lot of
assurance.
refrigerations throughout the value chain.
And quality assurance. Faisal, you want to quickly add to this? Or I can go to Dr. Saab. Dr. Saab again. Yeah, you want to add? Please go.
I would just say you can take Dr. Saab and then I can add.
Right. So you contributed, but you were passing the buck.
Yeah.
Let me ask you to talk about trade opportunities as well. SEZs are there. CPAC is something which is very quickly becoming a reality. Now we have seen new commitment. How much do you think we can expand this entire scope? We have heard that Afghanistan might be interested. We have heard that Central Asia might be interested. And then the Russian bloc itself actually wants to start business here, maybe an RPAC similar to CPAC. Can we actually work on those dreams that used to look like pipe dreams once?
Indeed, see, Farokh, what I believe, I mean, it's my personal analysis, that I think we need a new consensus on CPAC. I mean, something, because the kind of euphoria which we have had.
A new
back in
consensus. a
back
people,
in
a 200
2014 and
million
15.
society
No,
is
no,
going to have a new consensus.
no.
So then I better go home.
No. You're not getting my point. My point is very simple. Means that we need a reaffirmation of what we intend to achieve through CPAC.
Right.
Because just dropping it as a game changer, I mean, just using a lexicon of being a game changer, without telling or without having a planning, a conscious developmental framework, how would it be a game changer? Because you see the past
To change the game, you have to have
the
a
past
game.
ruling the past ruling dispensation had been overly secretive or had been perhaps ill prepared about CPAC, because many of the details they are not available as of yet.
Yeah.
We have been saying there had been 51 agreements under CPAC, but
Okay.
where is the original text of those agreements?
Yeah.
We are completely obfuscated when it comes to what is CPAC.
Right, but
there
Dr.
is a
Saab,
rhetoric.
I get what you're saying, but here's the point. I mean, when you don't get an information, for example, Maulana Fazlur Rahman is going to come to Islamabad, it is said. So I talked to certain, journalists who come up with numbers, how many people are attending. They said that we mapped the place and then the sizes of steps, and then realize how many people can stand or sit at a given place. That is the maximum number.
You're
So
right.
you can
You're
extrapolate, right? Are we extrapolating?
Yeah.
Where is the academe in that context? Where is the business? Where is my profession? Where are the capital markets? They have to play a role in tabulating what might be achieved.
Let me put forward my argument. I agree to my fellow participant. You see, the business community in Pakistan, it does not know how to get or how to reap benefit of the CPAC.
How?
I mean,
It's a business, for heaven's sake.
Hold on.
I mean,
Farooq.
businessmen know how to get benefit.
No, please, just hold on. No, just let me make my point.
Yeah, please.
So the point here is that, when there will be a lot of misunderstanding or there will be a lot of confusion, like he was telling, when there is a projected, cost of the land, businessman would be suspicious of investing into this. When a businessman does not have a lot of information about a certain thing, so then how can it be a game changer? My point over here is that I think we need to have a reaffirmation of CPAC, what we want to do through this mega project.
I get what you're saying.
I
get what you're saying.
Just one last point. Perhaps we need to more deliberate onto the microeconomic dividends of the project as well. When we see it in a macroeconomic picture and a macroeconomic pretext, fine, it is going to have a lot of opportunities, investment opportunities in Pakistan. There would be a lot of capital inflow, outflow, or whatever. I mean, I'm not a trained economist, so I can't make a economic analysis of the fact, but I can make a political analysis of the happening. But the fact of the matter is, that euphoria, that initial euphoria is dwindling.
Yeah, but hey, I understand what you're saying. The humble submission and the point that I have to I just wanted to make quickly, is that before any plan, there has to be a vision, right?
Yeah.
You might not be able to give their vision. Of course, we are talking about two countries. Pakistan has its own quirks. China has its own style, right? So the kind of data that you want to have in a country where you hardly ever have the right amount of data, right? In Pakistan, you didn't have.
It's not only about data.
Yeah,
it's
data,
about having a conscious developmental framework.
Right.
But a conscious policy.
Where is the academ's vision of the entire thing? They are poets,
there is
they are
a disconnect.
thinkers, they are visualizers.
The fact is, who is going to integrate the academ's perspective into this thing? It has to be done by the statecraft.
No, you can't start on your own. You will have to be invited.
No. The fact of the matter, don't you think that academia is already working on it? No. But where is the policy input of academia into this entire thing?
Where is the output itself?
Hold on. Did the Planning Commission of Pakistan ever had a consultative meeting with academics, inviting them or inviting the economists to speak on this one particular thing?
You'll have to ask Professor Hassan Iqbal, professor, right? that why didn't he have that? Because he was the man who was the
He could have
hub
done it.
at the center of it all for quite some time. One relief that one feels, Faisal Fateh, is that earlier when this entire thing was with the planning commission, you felt that it was somebody doing somebody else's job, right? Planning commission is not actually tasked to take care of CPAC. It has a planning of its own. Finally, you have this separation. Do you see that there is going to be some productive outcome?
Okay, first I have to comment on both of this.
Yeah, please.
When we talk about academia, there were a lot of in last, especially in 2015, 16, even till today, there were a lot of seminars arranged in the universities and stuff like that. There
May I
were
know about the universities?
yeah,
that you're
NUST
talking-
has a couple of seminars. There was just one. Couple
Almost
of
all
months ago.
universities are doing so.
You
On
go
CPAC?
on
Yeah.
CPAC. You
Maju,
goes to NDU. I'm pretty sure.
Kaizen Industry.
Whatever comes out of that, it doesn't become part of government framework. I'm sorry to say, even today, when you take your delegations out to China, you don't take academia with you. You don't take technology with you. You don't take tech people with you.
Okay.
The people who go with you are
Bureaucrats. primarily.
bureaucrats, ministers, railway minister, all kind of ministers, all kind
Yeah.
of bureaucrats. But academia, the thinkers, the think tanks, the people like that, they are not going with you.
But when, since you singled out the railway minister,
No, I didn't say
when you're going to have an ML1 agreement or a plan for ML1, naturally he has to go there.
Yeah,
I mean, a professor is going to go there.
I have nothing
He has
against
got
it, but
nothing against
I have
it.
No,
got
I'm
nothing
talking about
against
the
it,
post.
but talk about where is the input from the academia. Academia cannot give input in thin air. That being said,
No, but with due respect, I keep on listening to people, and I've seen theses being written, right, without substance.
Exactly.
I mean, there is not a single book that I can quote here while sitting on air, right? On CPAC. Where is that work? There has to be.
So how would one do that, Farooq, when there is no data available?
Okay.
When there is
Yes,
no-
data is one thing.
Thank you very much. That is a very good point. That means that the people who were writing about ISIS or Taliban or anything else were totally out in the air, right? They didn't have any grounding. Look, people have to investigate. Please go ahead. What were you saying?
okay, so that being said, I think academia did some kind of a job, but it's the disconnect in Pakistan between academia, between industry and business, and between the government is nothing new. It didn't happen. It's not just what happened with the CPAC. It happens almost
Everything.
for last, I think, 70 years. We keep
You
on giving.
reminded me of something.
What?
Faz Ahmad Faz, the noted poet, was asked, do you think that the country will continue to function? He said, I'm not worried about its future. I'm worried whether it is going to continue in the same pace
As
or
usual.
not. Right? And here's the problem. Okay, there was a disconnect. Do you want to continue it forever?
I think the support has to come from the leadership. It has to come from the government at some level. I'm not going to blame everything on the government, but at some level it has to come
you
from.
understand, you are focusing very deliberately, I think, on academia, not on business. Because in business, it is demand and supply, right?
But business
Opportunities
all
and
over the
then
world,
investment.
all over the world, starting even from China, where we want to talk about this Chinese model and picking people out of the poverty, 700 million people. What we miss is the strength of Chinese universities, the strength of that academia, their linkages with the industry. Right now, in top 10 science universities, China has 3 universities.
Yeah.
Right, they were nowhere there in last going back 10, 20 years. They were nowhere there. So yes, unless
And then the local governments actually support, and they have a lot of capital and the laws to actually support such initiative. They are a big country, right? Over 1 billion people.
of course. Now coming towards what you were asking,
After so much weight. I mean, the second time I've actually raised this issue. Go ahead.
coming towards will this separate office will make a difference? Yes, it will make a difference. Maybe it will make a difference towards execution of the projects. It is not the answer. The answer was to make your bureaucracy efficient enough, to make the systems efficient enough. I get it. You cannot do it within 1 year. You might not be able to do it within next 5 years. So yes, it's kind of bypassing that system and taking another load on the Prime Minister office, which is already loaded with so many stuff.
Stuff?
Yeah, so much like, you
The
know.
plate is full, right?
Yeah,
now.
the plate
Okay,
is
okay.
full, and I believe it might make a difference. It might, you know, quicken up the process. If nothing else, it is one way to show the Chinese that we are serious enough. And second positive thing that I think which is happening at the second phase of this project, that we are talking more about socio-economic projects. We are talking more about special economic zones. We are talking about hydro projects instead of, you know, getting power projects based on thermal or, you know, even up to coal.
Right.
So the projects that we are talking right now with China, I think so they are more long term,
Yeah.
and they are not. We are not trying to just do that to have some kind of,
Immediately
you know,
slip
yes,
into the business
not
mode.
cosmetic, but more long term and having more long term effects
Okay.
if it becomes.
That is quite interesting, and I think when I come back to Raja Kessar, I'm going to ask him about BRI also. But sir, here's another question that is important. Regarding our labor capacity, whenever you are going to open businesses at the SCZs, you are going to have a very trained, you are required to have very trained labor force as well. Do you think we are there yet?
Acha, that is one of the things where NAVTEC is working and creating a lot of human resource. I have, as of today, I'm a happy business person in terms of CPAC. What we were demanding, we have gone through so far.
Okay.
Now it's our turn to perform. In the last visit, what Prime Minister did, we have been able to achieve a list of 313 products which China agreed to buy from Pakistan.
Right.
And walk the talk. They are sending their people to source, identify, and make it to arrange all the facilitation for Pakistani entrepreneur to get it sold in China.
Right.
Now,
You're
we
talking
have-
about products which are already being made in Pakistan right now.
yes,
Okay.
but we need to upscale our whole
Can you,
infrastructure.
when you're talking about those 313 products,
Yeah.
are you talking about finished goods?
Finished
or you're
goods.
talking about
both,
commodities?
Both.
Okay.
Both. It includes air conditioning, refrigerations, children garments, footwear, you
Right.
name it, and everything is there. There's a lot of things. All tariff lines are there.
Okay.
Now, our dilemma as a business community or as our economy, if China does not buy anything, we have a, you know, we raise a, you know, claim that, you know, China is not buying from us. As soon as they start buying from us, we have a huge capacity issue that we cannot fulfill their demands,
Right.
the kind of volume they ask for.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this very point, we have list available that this is something what we require. We will arrange all the customs, import issues, and buying it to all the way to the last market.
Right.
Now, what we are doing is we are pushing our local community. We are going to other countries to invest in these industries so that we could fulfill the requirements of China.
Okay.
What is happening
you
in
need
this?
capital from other countries.
Anyone, it makes a
FDI.
perfect business sense
Okay.
that there's a huge volume required.
Right.
Come and invest in Pakistan. We have a buyer. You know, you manufacture over here and sell it over to China.
And your bankers are not going to actually
All
put
right.
that. They are not going to give you that kind of liquidity.
No, everything is going on at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
At present, the issue we are facing is what you saw today at Serena Hotel against FBR. You know, what we are saying, let us focus on the business. Do not make us tax collector.
Okay.
That is where, you know, that's a simple claim we are asking to FBR. No, please do not make us a tax collector. We are not tax collectors.
All right. Right.
You do your job, let us focus on what we are doing.
Right.
We are not interested to file 12 times a year the income tax reports, and we are not responsible if somebody, Farooq is not, if I'm buying from Farooq, I'm not responsible whether he's willing to pay tax or not.
Okay,
That's not my
you're-
responsibility.
You're basically talking about VAT mode, are you?
That is one.
Yeah.
That is one. We are heavily engaged with the FBR.
Okay.
That why do we file so many papers?
Okay.
So
That is true, sir. But coming back to what is happening here, the question was whether our labor market.
all right. Okay.
Ready.
Now, what is happening? It would evolve over the period of time. I would not like to go in a blame game, but whatever academia is producing, they are unable to match this pace, pace of the activity.
Right.
So that is where we have stopped looking towards academia. That is the fact.
Okay.
We will train our own people.
Okay.
We will go whatever skill is required. As of today, I am not in a mood to ask for a degree. Anyone who can do a specific job, he is more than welcome.
Now you're looking at the skill sets.
Exactly.
And experiences, right?
Exactly.
That is interesting because today I was seeing this lovely long report on Huawei, the Chinese company, telephone manufacturer. They were so successful, they actually started their own university. And
It would
that
happen
campus
eventually.
actually keeps on training people. So these companies can do it as well.
Yeah.
But the
So
problem
sooner than
is-
the later, you would hear that we are coming up with our own institute, Islamabad
Right.
Chamber of Commerce
But
Industry.
the major companies, I mean, they are major names
Exactly,
in Pakistan. We know about them when they are interested in some subject because they start arranging events and informing us, the people, and then there's marketing campaign also. The big names don't seem to be even mentioning CPAC.
Because they are too focused whatever they are doing, yeah. What is happening, even you would not, at this point of time, not everybody knows that what is the list of 313 products. I would encourage PTV to propagate this list of products.
You cannot collect the taxes, but we have to collect the list of names of all these.
Exactly,
products.
then no, this list is available. I'll share it with you.
Right.
That if you wish to start a
Give
business.
it to me and then I'm going to just read it. Although it might be a bit boring.
No, but that's
but
very
I'm
interesting. There are so many things which we believe that we are importing from China.
Right.
Basically, what is happening, China wish to shift the medium or low end industry to Pakistan.
Yeah, and I was looking at the numbers. I mean, that trade volume is somewhere around $15.6 billion, right? And exports less than 2 billion. That becomes quite a staggering number. But Raja Kesar, now let us talk about BRI, because CPAC is merely a modicum of the entire
Flagship.
BRI. Yeah, it is, but it is a small part when you look at the entire, length and
The
depth,
Silk Road.
scope of the entire BRI project. Is there a possibility that we can actually tap into that project as well and build supply chains across the world if we want to, not merely the region?
Indeed, but that's a long way to go. I mean, in
You're
the first place.
you're not
I mean,
satisfied with the government's idea, huh? Yeah, state.
That's what happens when you offer program without a cup of tea.
So the fact of
I'm coming to your institute as well, and I'm going to see how you are going to host us, right?
Okay,
good.
Farooq, the fact of the matter is that the Belt and Road Initiative is the proposed vision of China for the 21st century. How do they envision themselves in 21st century? Where they intend to take themselves at? And fortunately, Pakistan, they rely on Pakistan.
Right.
And they have made, in fact, Pakistan their partner into that vision of 21st century.
Right.
Now it is up to us, like my fellow participant who actually have the real time understanding of the CPAC, who are actually dealing with it.
Yes.
So it was indeed learning for my own understanding as well.
It was quite
because it
based
was a
on the-
practitioner's view, when
Yeah.
we happen to talk academic and the scholastic view, but practitioner
but
view.
you
it
have
is
to
very
still
important.
give me an answer in the
Yeah.
scholastic terms as well.
Yeah, but the point over here is that we will have to rethink on our own constraints and our own self-imposed impediments.
Yeah, but
the
talking to
kind
you,
of,
Dr. Saab, here's a complaint. I mean, I know when it comes to the realities, there might be limitations. But imagination shouldn't have four walls. Is it correct or not?
But
Right?
that's true.
So when I talk to the academe, the VCs or the capital movers and shakers and the businessmen, somehow I feel that we don't want to imagine. Why not?
You are right. But then again, you have to, your imagination and reality should reconcile. Na? There should be synergy between both of them. Only imagination and a wild imagination would be good for nothing.
If I say that, I tell you hundreds of thousands of poets around the world will die at the spot.
Oh, no, but that's an entirely different domain. But when we are talking about the economics, we are talking about the politics, we are talking about the foreign policy initiative and a proposed vision of China's 21st century and Pakistan's place into that. So we have to be pragmatic rather than idealistic. We have to be more rational in our interpretation and understanding rather than being imaginative only. I mean, that's good. It's always good to be imaginative because your imagination, your out of the box thinking can bring on
I
to
understand what
something
you're
which
saying.
can become the reality in
No, Dr. Saab,
tomorrow.
I totally see your point. When you're saying that there are too many variables and we have a hard time reconciling them to the picture that we might be painting. But since this entire thing has started, there are many possibilities that people, I mean, I can be wrong if I write a book, but why shouldn't I write a book, right?
No, you should.
But this
There are
what
many
is-
universities. One university is NDU.
Yeah.
So where all the ministers and all the academia or all the industry would always be there, to match the notes and moving on.
Okay.
Probably other universities can follow it too.
Okay, okay, right. But Faisal Fateh, there are two very important, crucial aspects of it: supply and demand, right?
Right.
Usually, demand defines the kind of supply you are going to have, and that is as it should be. But it seems that on demand, it is actually essentially a supply pushed kind of a perspective where you keep on actually pushing the idea, but I don't see the demand actually coming and people moving around. Why don't we have VCs working on this? Venture capitalists actually hunting for the opportunities.
Well, in Pakistan, if you look at overall financial structure, we don't have that many VCs. Yes, we don't have that much private equity as well. We have businessmen.
Today I heard of a VC coming from Malaysia and investing $2 billion. I mean, that is a big number.
Yeah,
into startups, nothing else.
This is what, again, I might be biased towards startups and towards tech sector. Look, this is where you can really create value. When we talk about BRI, we talk about CPAC, we can talk about all these amazing dreams or amazing visions we can have. But the reality
But
is...
we don't
No,
sort of
but,
have them.
But the reality is how relative you are. In the world, you will be judged or you will be listened to how relative you are.
And how competitive you are.
You are exporting $2 billion, right? What is, right now, Gwadar, China came to you because you have a nuisance value. Right? Let's look at very pragmatically. You have a nuisance value, you had Gwadar, and right, that's why China came, and you have an opportunity.
And that puzzles me beyond imagination because Pakistan has this huge coastal line,
All right.
right? And somehow, all we talk about is Gwadar. We can't open more ports.
We can open more ports, but let's just open the one which we are trying to
It
open
is-
for last
I mean,
40
China has
years.
committed a lot of investment into Gwadar, hospital, airport, educational system, and that project is going on. But this is what I'm saying. I mean, organically, you have to come up with new ideas to actually keep on tapping into the possibilities. That is not happening.
If I can add to it, look, again, people will come to you. People will take you not on your face value, they take you at your intrinsic value and your face value. They will look at how relative you are, what you have produced.
Okay.
Right? It doesn't.
How relevant we have to be.
Yes, how
to
relevant
actually
you have to
survive.
be. How do you become relevant? You become relevant through trade. You become relevant through intellect. Are we exporting any intellect? No. Are we importing any intellect?
Excuse
No,
me.
please, no,
What
no.
are you saying? No,
No,
I'm not going to agree with that.
Whether
I mean,
it's, no, it's not about.
brain drain.
If-
A lot of people have gone out. Our intellect is quite successful
Yeah,
around
but it's
the
not
world.
it's not that successful. You still have issues getting a visa to go anywhere. So trust me. Yes,
No,
there
but
are
that-
so many.
I don't know what we are talking.
Okay, wait. Whether you are you exporting culture? No. Are you importing culture? Yeah, up to some extent. Are you exporting intellect? Maybe to some extent. Are you importing intellect? No. Are you exporting
Tasir
technology?
Saab doesn't agree with you.
Are you importing
He said
technology or exporting
he's not
technology?
sure what we are talking about, right?
Okay, we will. You can come to him and go to him.
Yeah, I'm going to go
But
to him.
but I would just say, if you stop trading with everybody in this world today, do you think so that world there would be any kind of economic crisis anywhere? If you start, stop exporting your intellect anywhere, what I'm trying to say is you have to be relative, and you will be judged upon what you have done in the past and how you can deliver in the
Yeah.
future.
And-
You
and-
cannot be judged upon just because you have a nuisance value, just because you are situated at some place, and you can say, I can do all of this.
Tasir Saab, you have to actually conclude and you can rebut all the points that are made. Please go ahead.
What is happening that major time of our previous many years we spent on that what China is doing for us, which was extremely an improper narrative. That is not that is China's right to protect and promote their interest or their program.
Right.
Our academia's job is to promote and protect our interest. What I can assure, whenever is the academia ready, we can have the
No, but
conference.
we are not merely talking about academe now. We are talking about the state itself, right?
Look,
The business community, the
what is
academe, the
happening?
investors.
What is happening? Thanks to whatever, I cannot forget the Grameen's Nobel laureate. He
Yeah.
said over the period of time we have become a bonsai. So my prime minister is doing his job. I do not expect that he would do my job or your job or his job.
Right.
We cannot blame him that I'm not working
Absolutely. Yeah.
because he's there. I have to come up with the alternate business solution. I have to come up with the alternative academic discussions and find our way in between. We have to build the narrative Pakistan, and we need to push within. And what I'm telling you, business community is now ready to move to take up that task.
Tasir Saab, one last question very quickly before I conclude the program. Capital has to be, brought in. You
Right.
have to bring in investment, right?
Right.
How to attract VCs, virtual venture capitalists, not virtual capitalists.
Interestingly, we need to push. We have what we have attained. Fortunately, please, once you are inviting the guest, bring in the animators, bring in the software companies, bring in the big data companies. All these companies are doing a huge job within Pakistan. They are getting all the international awards, but we overlook even in our chambers.
Right.
Or probably they are too focused what they are doing. They have an amazing speed of growth. And what we have decided now, whenever we will go overseas, we'll take all these tech companies along.
Now you have debated Faisal Fateh's point.
No, I'm
but
very
on
happy with that.
on that positive note, I have to conclude the program. Tausif Zaman sir, thank you very much for your time. Faisal Fateh, thank you very much, sir, for being a part of this program. Dr. Raja Kaisa, thank you very much for being here as well. Viewers, you have listened to our participants. We were essentially talking about the Prime Minister's visit to to China. But while discussing it, we were also trying to take stock of how we can make the entire execution of a CPAC project and exploit the opportunities offered by it quickly. There are many concerns, there are many issues, but there are many solutions as well. Depends on which side of the argument you want to see. I just saw in the last 2-3 minutes the gloomier side of the argument as well and the brighter side of the argument as well. Let us hope that the brighter side wins, and this country has a lot of hope because this country has very capable people who have been held back from a certain level of progress. Let us hope now it can be done. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching us. Take care.